Two friends from the same village once set out on a journey to a neighboring town in search of wives, women they hoped to spend the rest of their lives with. One of them was Kwame Agyemang, the richest man in their village. He owned vast acres of cocoa farms and other plantations that brought him great wealth. His house was the most luxurious in the entire village, filled with everything a man could desire, everything except a wife to share it with. His companion, Kwaku Frimpong, was the complete opposite. Known by many as Ananse, he was cunning, lazy, and had little to no money. He lived in a dilapidated house and often struggled to make ends meet. Yet, despite his poverty, his cleverness and trickery made him popular among the villagers. This earned him the nickname Ananse, after the famous trickster spider. As they began their journey, their appearances reflected their lives. Kwame Agyemang wore a beautifully woven Kent cloth, adorned with shining gold jewelry around his wrist and neck, symbols of his wealth and status. Ananse, on the other hand, wore an old, worn-out cloth that clearly showed his difficult situation. As they walked along the dusty path, Ananse suddenly stopped. "My friend," he said, "please hold on to my cloth for me. I need to go into the bush and ease myself." Kwame agreed without suspicion and took the cloth. Ananse disappeared into the bush. After some time, he returned, looking calm and relaxed. Shortly after, Kwame also felt the need to ease himself. "Please hold on to my things," Kwame said, removing his fine Kent cloth and all his gold jewelry. "I will be right back." Ananse nodded and took everything from him. But this time, things would be different. Kwame spent only a short while in the bush. However, when he returned, Ananse was nowhere to be found. The only thing left behind was Ananse's old, tattered cloth lying on the ground. Kwame's heart dropped. "Ananse," he shouted, his voice echoing through the trees. He searched everywhere, calling his friend's name again and again, but there was no response. It finally dawned on him he had been deceived. With a heavy heart and deep disappointment, Kwame picked up the old cloth Ananse had left behind and wore it. There was nothing else he could do. Determined not to give up, he hurried along the path, hoping he could still catch up with him before reaching their destination. Meanwhile, Ananse, now dressed in Kwame's fine Kent and glittering jewelry, had already reached the neighboring village. The moment he arrived, he drew attention. The villagers were amazed by his appearance. He looked every bit like a wealthy and powerful man. The young women admired him, and soon, word spread quickly through the village. Families began competing among themselves, each hoping to give their daughter's hand in marriage to this seemingly rich and handsome stranger. It became a fierce competition. In the end, Ananse chose the three most beautiful women in the village to be his wives. Proud and satisfied, he left the village with them, heading back home. Not long after, Kwame Agyemang finally arrived at the same village. But his experience was completely different. Dressed in old, warm clothing, he looked nothing like the wealthy man he truly was. The villagers barely paid attention to him. When he inquired about marriage, he was met with rejection. "A rich man has already passed through here," they told him. "He has taken all the beautiful women. No family here will give their daughter to a man who looks like you." Kwame felt the sting of those words, but he remained calm. In that same village lived a beautiful young woman named Asa. She had been raised by her grandmother after losing her parents at a young age. Her grandmother had always taught her an important lesson. Never judge a person by their appearance or wealth. True character lies within. Unlike the others, Asa decided to listen to Kwame. She sat with him and allowed him to tell his story. As Kwame spoke, she saw sincerity, honesty, and kindness in him, qualities far greater than riches. Impressed by his character, Asa took him to her grandmother so he could formally ask for her hand in marriage. The grandmother welcomed Kwame warmly. After listening carefully to him, she saw the truth in his words and the goodness in his heart. With a smile, she gave her blessing. Kwame and Asa were married. Soon after, Kwame brought his new wife back to his village. When they arrived at his grand and luxurious home, Asa finally saw the truth. Her husband was not a poor man after all, but a wealthy and honorable one. Their love grew stronger, and they lived happily together, sharing both joy and prosperity. As for Ananse, his story took a different turn. When he arrived home with his 3 wives, the truth could no longer be hidden. His wives quickly realized that he was not the rich man they believed him to be. Instead, they found themselves in a poor home, struggling to survive. Disappointment turned into regret. One by one, his wives began to leave him. Within weeks, all 3 had gone, unable to endure the life he had deceived them into. In the end, Ananse was left alone, with nothing but the consequences of his cunning. And so, the story reminds us. Deception may win admiration for a moment, but truth and character will always stand the test of time. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed or followed the channel yet, please do so for me. This will mean a lot for us. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you more and quality African stories that entertains, educates and teaches us. Like and leave a comment so we can know your thoughts on the story. Thank you. See you next time.